Good morning, everyone. Welcome to April Fools, April 1st, 2020. Hopefully, everyone is doing great, staying happy, staying healthy, is not too bored yet, um, being isolated at home. All right, today we are going to go over the different blood types. Okay, and the second part of this video, part two, will be we'll talk about the immunity. Okay, so let's scroll down here. I just want to flash back to Monday's notes. Okay. Here we have, we're going to talk about the leukocytes, the white blood cells. Now, if you remember, the white blood cells were also called the granulocytes. Okay, granulocytes are here. There were three types. There were the eosinophils, the basophils, and the neutrophils. Okay, the granulocytes are visible if they are stained, and you can see them through a microscope in the cytoplasm. Okay, tiny little, like smaller than a grain of sand, tiny little grains. Okay, so most people, when they hear granulocytes or agranulocytes, okay, it means the same thing as leukocytes. They're just different types of white blood cells with different jobs. Okay, you can see these three have a specific job, these three types of granulocytes. Now let's go back to today's notes. All right, and we're going to talk about the agranulocytes. Okay, these are the non-grainy ones. Okay, both equal important in the job of fighting off bacteria, microbes, invaders in your body. Okay, all right, so the agranulocytes, there are two types. One is the monocyte and the other is the lymphocyte. The monocytes are the most common, the highest number of white blood cells in our body are the monocytes. Okay, they're kind of like the jack of all trades. They do it all. They fight off bacteria and viruses. Okay, they fight off fungi. They do everything. Okay, Monday's notes. Sorry, these guys have specific jobs. The monocytes, they are, they kind of do it all. They kind of clean up the mess of others. Okay, that others don't take care of. So those are the monocytes. The other one is the lymphocytes. Okay, the lymphocytes probably have the largest job of any of the white blood cells. All right. Now the lymphocytes, there's two types. One is the B cells, and the other are the T cells. Okay, the B cells make the antibodies or the weapons or the antidote. Okay, which destroys the intruders. Okay, that's what the B cells do. Okay, the T cells are kind of like the messengers. Okay, they're located. This is what they look like. They're located on the cell membrane, so on the outside of the cell. Okay, and they seek out the intruder. And once they have tracked down or got a hold of an intruder, found an intruder, okay, this information is passed on to the B cell, which makes the antibodies or weapons to take it down. Okay, so they kind of work together, the T cells and the B cells, lymphocytes. Okay, so we got three types of granulocytes, and there's two types of agranulocytes. That's the monocytes, lymphocytes. That's a lot of sites. All right. All right, move on. Go back to, so like all the white blood cells, okay, the specific type is made in the bone marrow, and these are not important to you, but there's 5 types of T cells, all which do different jobs in different parts of the body. Okay, seeking out the intruders. Okay, so flashback to Monday's notes. We talked a little bit about blood clotting. Okay, blood clotting is done by the help of the platelets. All right, so platelets move through the torn or ruptured or cut blood vessel. Okay, they break apart, they move, they switch shape from round to spiny, right? They break apart, and then they block or clog this torn or injured portion. Okay, here's a real cool video that talks about the fibrinogen, okay, and the platelets, and the fibrin threads that form over a wound. So check it out. I'm going to move over to this quick 2-minute video. YouTube. Here we go.
Usually, every time you have a cut or bruise, your blood clots to stop the bleeding. Clotting is a complex process, and there are 4 main things that make it possible: platelets or cell fragments, clotting factors, which are special proteins, fibrin, which is a protein mesh made up of a special kind of clotting factor, and finally, other cells, like red and white blood cells. Because clot formation is so important, platelets and clotting factors are always available, floating around in your blood. Now, let's talk about the 4 steps involved with forming a blood clot. When there is a tear in a blood vessel, the first thing that happens is that the nearby platelets are activated and become sticky. They start sticking to each other and to the sides of the hole in the blood vessel. For small holes, enough platelets usually stick together to form a temporary plug. But a platelet plug isn't strong enough to block the opening for long, so it must be reinforced with other materials. Otherwise, the blood flowing past the hole could wash the plug away. These other materials are called clotting factors. As the clotting factors float by the tear, they become activated or turned on and add themselves to the platelet plug. A special kind of clotting factor can weave itself together with others of the same kind and form a web of fibrous tissue called fibrin. This web acts like glue and holds the platelets and the other clotting factors together, creating a blood clot. Other cells, like red and white blood cells, can also get caught in this web and help reinforce the clot. It quickly becomes stronger and starts to pull the edges of the hole in the blood vessel together. After the clot has formed, it stays in the hole until the tissue is repaired. When the clot is no longer needed, your body dissolves it. Usually, every time you have a cut or bruise.
So pretty cool video on showing how blood clots, okay, with the use of the platelets and the fibrin threads. All right, moving on. So now a couple things can go wrong when we're talking about blood clotting and the work of the platelets. Okay, remember the platelets help in the blood clotting. A thrombus is one thing. So a thrombus is a blood clot that forms when a blood vessel, within a blood vessel, and cuts off the surrounding tissue from nutrients and oxygen. So a thrombus, all right, so blood clots within a blood vessel, okay, and stops nutrients and oxygen from getting through. Now, this can be really bad if it happens in the brain. Okay, this is where a stroke would happen, okay, or occur. And if it happens in the coronary arteries or any arteries near your heart, a heart attack can take place. So thrombosis are pretty serious. So blood clots that form within a blood vessel and cuts off surrounding tissue from what it needs in nutrients and oxygen can be really bad. Now the other one is an embolus. Now an embolus is a traveling clot, okay, that can become dislodged anywhere within a blood vessel. All right, so it's moving through. It's moving through your blood vessel. Okay, this is a vein, for example, as you can see by the little valve here. But an embolus will travel through the bloodstream and block the valve here in this example. So it can be dislodged. All right. So once it lodges in vital organs, obviously major things can happen. All right. Some say this is a genetic thing. Sometimes it just happens when folks get older. All right. When you increase in age. So thrombus, moving, traveling clot is the embolus. All right.